Hello, everyone. This is Juliana Tricalocina here on Friday, February 26th. I am late and talk about uncomfortable. Everything that could technically go wrong went wrong. My computer shut down, my internet, I'm now using my phone internet. So fingers crossed, we're going to have a smooth night. So my apologies to you because I truly, deeply value your attention. And for anybody who is intentionally turning in and is looking forward to tonight's show, I really, really appreciate that you're here with me. You're gonna have to excuse me because I'm gonna have to look down at my screen because my regular screen isn't working, but we are functional. Tonight, I am super, super excited. We're going to be talking about goals and achievement and dreaming. And I've called this episode, if you read the title for the episode that just went up a few moments ago, you'll see that the title is From Farm to Freedom. And I think that we live in a world today where we have everything at our fingertips. We can do so many incredible things. We literally have computers in our pockets. And I think it's easy to dream. And yet sometimes we still have a very hard time setting goals, feeling like the world is against us, feeling like we can't do it, we can't make it. And we need perspective. And perspective can come from so many different places. It can come from different people, different stories, different cultures, histories. And tonight, I'm very excited to have a guest with me, I'm going to introduce in a moment, who I think has a very inspiring story about dreaming, even when you can't see the way to get there, the path forward, and inventing it yourself. So today, I am challenging you, my viewers, and I'm challenging myself to really ask ourselves, what are we here for? And what's stopping us? And with that note, I'm going to bring Mr. Luigi Muia into the room. Hi there, Luigi. How are you?
Hi there. Thank you very much. And thanks, Juliana.
Thank you for joining with me today. Luigi is, I've learned something new about Luigi in this past couple of months. He's a very kind and patient man because we've had some delays. I was sick one Friday and just such a gentle person and was quite caring for me throughout that time. So Luigi, thank you very much for being there for me and thinking of me. And thank you for being on our show tonight.
It's my pleasure, and I thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much. I was looking forward to really have a chat with you, and I've heard a lot about your program, and I know it's getting a lot of hits. So my family's watching, so I hope you're watching.
Hello, family.
So we'll know the results after we finish how we did.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway.
So on that note, that's a perfect segue. I'm sorry, folks. Again, I'm just going to remind you, I have to look down sometimes because my regular monitor didn't work today. So please excuse me for looking down. But I want to call out anybody who wants to take part in the conversation today. You can post comments in whatever property you're watching this on. If you're on YouTube or LinkedIn or Twitter, tweet us, message us, comment, and any of those comments that come up on our screen, I can actually share them live and we can answer live questions. And it's just always exciting to see audience engagement. So please don't be shy tonight. So Luigi, I met you a number of years ago after you met my parents. I want to talk about who you are and create start the story of who you are. But I just want to start with the fact that it is such a small darn world. So can you just tell the audience how did you, that interaction with my parents, you found out that there's actually something close that binds us, but you didn't know each other for many, many years. Can you just tell us a little bit about how that unfolded?
As you know, we are relatives.
Mm-hmm.
We're part of a big family. And I lost track of your dad, although your uncle used to come to our house, and see my mother and talking to each other because they're second cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, I take that back. It's first cousins. No, second cousins. Sorry. And so I never had an opportunity until one day I got invited to see a show where your mother participated singing. It was the chin sing competition, and I was there, and I liked the show. And after that, I introduced myself and I said, you did a great job. So one thing to another, we put the ties together, and then I figured out that we are cousins.
Go figure.
And that's how that was many years ago.
Yes.
And since then we became closer and closer, and I have a great respect for your parents and your family, and I think they're great. And I wish we would have actually, when we were kids, your father, no, your uncle, he says he did, but I don't believe him. He used to come and cut my hair when I was a kid. So
Wow.
now I don't remember that small. I must have been 3, 4, 5 years old.
Wow.
But anyway,
No,
so that's our history in a small nutshell.
yeah, for sure. That's an awesome story. Yeah. And by the way, I don't really know what first cousins are, second cousins are, because I've tried to look it up. It's so confusing. When you actually have such a big family, it's hard to figure out who is what. You can maybe find the definition, but then to figure out who falls into what category, I'm not sure. But we're cousins, and that's good enough.
We're cousins.
Yes.
And I tell you, I will surprise you that I'm preparing a family tree, and we'll show you where you are in your tree.
That is so
when I finish, I will give it to you. I'm very active into the family tree stuff. Right?
I really love that.
Genealogy.
Yeah, that's amazing. And for anybody who's watching that doesn't know, Luigi just mentioned Chin. Now, Chin is a radio station production. They have a TV show in Canada, and it's focused around originally, I think it was around the Italian Canadian community, and now it's more multicultural as well. So we have a really vibrant cultural scene in Toronto, and that provided the opportunity for family to cross paths again. Now, Luigi, I want to embarrass you a little. I have the introduction that I want to read you, the description for today's show, which I don't think you got to see beforehand. So is it okay if I read that to you?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. How does a child define freedom? How about a small town farm boy who watched planes fly overhead like mythical creatures? Some people are dreamers. Some people are doers. Some just enjoy the ride. Luigi Muia is a man who has done it all. From humble beginnings, he dreamt big and wrote his own ticket. He didn't need to see it to believe it. By setting a goal, Luigi made that goal reality. When Luigi chose and owned his own interests with conviction, he created a life of freedom and experience, a life no one in his hometown could have imagined. It's easy to follow popular paths and join clubs filled with people who understand you. And yes, Luigi found his people, working out with, for example, Arnold Schwarzenegger. But he was also the trendsetter who married outside his culture at a time when that would make you someone to stare at. In a day, age, and country, we're in Canada, where dreamers are celebrated and opportunity is perhaps the most taken for granted aspect of life, we need to stop and take stock. Stories from different perspectives, countries, cultures, and times remind us about human potential. Luigi's story is one of those reminders. He's a goal setter, a go-getter, with more adventures still ahead than many people will have in a lifetime. He challenges me to see that nothing is out of my reach, even though I'm only 5'1". How do you feel about that, Luigi?
Well, that's great. I don't know. I don't know where to begin. I mean, you have really enlightened me a little bit, and things that I have forgotten, and things that I've done, of course, that made me what I am today. And what you said is completely right. And what you say is what we're living today. And for a person to succeed, you have to dream first. You have to set goals, and you have to work towards those goals. You know, I mean, we can spend all night talking about goals and so on, but you have to have the initiative. You have to have the force. You have to have the patience. You have to have faith in what you're doing. You have to believe that you can do it and think positive. That's the whole thing. And
Sure.
by starting with a dream, and by setting up goals and do all those things, sometimes you reach those, and sometimes you get some feedbacks, and you got to be able to get up and start all over again. You know, so I thank you for doing that. I mean,
but it's all true, right? You and I had a brief
yeah.
conversation, and that came out of it in terms of like my interpretation. So that's how I described you. How would you describe you to somebody who's never met you before, and maybe at the end of this time together, you will have made a strong impression, a beautiful impression on their life. But this is your moment to tell them a little bit about you and why they should listen. What is it that defines you?
Well, I have built a character in myself, within myself, to be what I wanted to be, and I hope that they see that from the outside and take an example in what I've done and what I've accomplished and so on. But if someone looks at me, they look at me like a regular guy. I mean, okay, I might be a little bigger than others in stature, but maybe I'm not as smart as they are. But all I can tell them is that you put something in your mind and you are positive and you set your goals and look into that light, that it's at the end of the tunnel. And you know, that part of a tunnel is our life journey. Okay, and sometimes we get into darkness. We have to overcome that darkness. And the darkness you overcome by having the faith, having the being positive, having that knowledge that there is a light for sure at the end of the tunnel. The light at the end of the tunnel. And it, you know, it might take us longer than most people to find out that. But if you stick with it, and you are doing as much as you can, you will get there eventually. But you know that it's there, though.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the things that is inspiring to me about you is I think you found your purpose and your goals in things that you love. And I think a lot of us have a hard time thinking, you know, what's my purpose? What am I here for? And we can spend years, decades of our lives wondering what should be my goal? This idea of what should be, what should I be? And I think that we really just need to do what we enjoy, and I think that you've done that. So I want to go back to, you know, where you were born, what that experience was like, and talk about some of the things that interested you from that perspective. So tell me about where do you come from?
Well, I come from a small town of Calabria. It's called Suderno Marina, actually. And I was born in a countryside of Suderno, more. And I have a brother, and our family is only two of us. And so in being growing up in a farm, we had a farm where everyone used to come around and get milk for milk and grain and all that stuff. We used to have all that stuff. As I found that we had to work harder in a farm. So I was always start working when I was very, very young and learn how, the type of work, learning how to work, learn how to take charge and be a leader and so on. And so not far away from the sea, we were not far away from, the Mediterranean. And I always enjoyed those days. I always enjoyed of going down and go for a swim in between when I was working. I was working as a little guy too. I was working from a little guy in stores and so on. So I learned the meaning of working, okay, with your hands, with your brain, and stuff like that. It was really tough because those days in the 50s, there was right after the war, so there was a lot of poverty and a lot of people tried to make ends meet. And but because we were so blessed that we had a farm, we lived off our farm. We never had to go to the store. Everything. We had animals. We had sheep. We had goats. We had chickens. We had olive trees that we can make our own oil, our own grapes. We had grapevine. Wow. We make wine. Although I never drank wine.
Really?
I drank the grape juice. No.
Yes.
Your father would like to. Your father would like to hear this, and I never. Well, he knows that I don't drink wine. He pushes me all the time, but
I bet he does. Knowing my father, I know he does.
I know. But anyway, that was that, and I used to make wine with my feet, jump up and down. So those were the days, right?
Paint the picture for me. Was it like some big container, and you would stand in it and stomp the grapes?
It was a big container. They dropped the grapes inside, and then my grandfather, because we grew up with my grandfather, he says, "Okay, jump in." Of course, we had to wash our feet, so we jump in and we jump up and down. So my brother and I would love to do that. Right then, the neighbors come in, so they jump in. So what we're doing there is actually in this big barrel. What we're doing is we're breaking the grapes so they can go into the press, and then the press brings down to the actual grape juice, and then the rest, you know how the rest works. But so that was very, very interesting. I mean, you don't see that anymore.
No, it sounds like a million years away, because it's just you can buy everything. Like most people will never have to kill an animal to eat a chicken wing. You know what I mean? And so to have that relationship with the roots of it all is really very special. And the reason why I find, like, I love stories that weren't my experience, because I learn from them, and I just pick up all kinds of beautiful things. It really speaks to me. But the reason why I wanted you to paint that picture for us about your early years in Italy is because we're about to talk about your goals and your interests and some of the things that you've done in your life. But the thing that is so interesting to me is that you didn't come from a place where you could see people living the life you wanted. At least I don't think so. Is that fair? Did you have role models?
That's a fair.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I in certain areas of my life, I did have role models, but in general, it's a true statement, because you can foresee. Mind you, we didn't have much of a television. I think I was 13 years old when I first seen my first TV. So we didn't have the influence of what you're going to watch on TV, right? But you learn from schools different things and so on. But one thing that I wanted to mention is that the one person that got me going was this guy, and this is how my career started in bodybuilding. Was this guy from Torino, Italy, and he wrote a book. And I came across the book through the library, I believe, in school, and how we can build muscles. And I always wanted to do that because once in a while, I used to go to the cinema,
Yes.
the theater, and I used to borrow money from my nonno. Like, nonno, dammi 100 lire, giving me 150 litres because that's so I want to see Hercules.
Yes.
So those days, and that I like that type of thing, right? And this guy here started me into bodybuilding, and I was 12 years old when I got this, and it was a book that he wrote, and he had equipment and all that stuff, and I didn't have the money to buy the equipment. I didn't have the money to buy the book. So I asked my nonno, can you give me 1,600 litres? I can still remember 1,600 litres so that I can buy the book. And I want to start doing some exercise. That didn't go anywhere because I didn't have equipment. So I made my own equipment. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do with the equipment? So I got 2 pails full of rocks with a broomstick. That was my barbell.
Love it.
Okay. So you compromise. And you had a couple pails, right? You fill them up with rocks and sand, and you do your curl. And stuff like that. And working in the farm.
Totally.
When you work in the farm, you cut the grain, and you do all that. So I can see myself developing. As I start developing, I said, then I start dreaming. Okay. Now I said, I want to be like him. So what am I going to do? I can't go, this is the end of it, and fortunately, I had the opportunity to come to America or to Canada. And that's when everything opened up. Opened up.
Yeah.
So the other thing that opened up.
Okay. I finished that thought, and then I want to jump in for a second, but please finish the thought.
Okay. The other thing that opened up for me that I really like to do was I wanted to fly. And I used to watch the airplanes flying all the time. And I said, what an amazing thing to do. If you could fly an airplane, be in the air, it would be amazing. And that stayed back in my mind, but I didn't continue on until I made my career in bodybuilding first when I came to Canada. And then it opened up again and picked up. So the key, go ahead, and I'll tell you something else.
Okay, sounds good. So I love that. I love the pails and the wooden broomstick, and you're doing your curls, because again, privilege is a funny thing. It's everybody wants to give their family privilege, but when you are privileged, you don't know it. And I can't help but think of people today when someone says, I want to get in shape. A very common thing is go get a gym membership or hire a personal trainer or sign up for some course or something like that. And I think about people saying, oh, I don't actually know the bodybuilding world very well, but imagine like my biceps are not even maybe. And your personal trainer might say to you, well, it's because your form is off, and you have to just perfect the way you do it. And here you were with 2 buckets and a broom. And, talk about form, like how wobbly was that? But you made it work. And that's the thing. Everyone's going to be missing something. The equipment, the time, the money, the support, something. And it depends how you see it. Are you going to get creative and solve around the problem, or see only the problem? And so I just love that story. I can imagine so many people saying, oh, he's doing it wrong. Meanwhile, you did it. So that's really, really cool. I know you have some more to tell me, and I want to hear some about your bodybuilding career as well. So why don't you either tell me about the bodybuilding career now, or fill in that last piece you wanted to bring up again.
Well, when we moved into Canada in 1965, first thing I did is to look a sports store where I can find some weights.
Yes.
Actually, the first thing that my mother told me to do is go to school and learn English. So I did that. I came in on a Friday.
Yes.
I remember on a Friday.
November 14th, was it?
No, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I know we talked
and,
about this. Yes.
Yeah, and the next Monday I went to school. 2 days after, my mother sent me to grade 8. Okay, and so I learned English, and then I used to take night school as well. And with that, I built up and built up, so on. And of course, then I got into the weights. I got my own weight training package with the proper dumbbells, proper barbells, charts, this and that.
Yes.
And in those days, yeah, that's all I needed to do, and a bench press, and that was enough for me to start.
I love
took
it.
Home, and I started working out. All kinds of different things.
I'm so glad. Sorry, I'm going to stop you there for a second. I'm so glad you brought up that about like coming to Canada on a Friday and 2 days later starting in school, not speaking a word of English. Let's just talk about that for a second, because it is such a common story nowadays that people talk about. And don't get me wrong, like bullying is not okay. Violence, hate, none of that is okay. And we need to stand against it. And I think that we are absolutely moving in the right direction as a society. But I also love that you had your goals and you had your heart set. And I imagine, and so this is my question to you, did you feel accepted? Were you bullied? Were you discriminated against? Or did you get a warm reception that made you feel like you could do it all? What was that like?
Well, in those days, a little different than it is today. Okay, you were more conservative. There wasn't so much bullying, but because with my stature and my presentation of my personality and so on like that, they would never come to me. Actually, in high schools, they were threatening me to go for fighting, and the kids come up, I'm outside, but they never showed up. So what I mean, it's like, you always had that threat of doing that, but it never worked with my life. Bullying, it's something that I don't tolerate. And if I seen somebody else getting bullied, I would just step in and do something about it. But it wasn't as it is today in schools. And today's schools have changed a lot. There's a lot of rules, there's rules and regulations and so on. We're a little different. But yes, you did feel, though, I want to admit that I did feel a little bit inferior because of my language barrier.
Yeah.
Okay. But once I start learning the language, I start having that confidence of communication. Okay, I mean, we can communicate, but can you communicate effectively? That's a different story. You can make friends, that way. And as you make friends, and as you communicate with your friends, it makes you more motivated to, and so people see that. So I never had that actual problem of being bullied.
That's good.
And if they did, if they were coming to me, like I said, all I have to do is take my shirt off.
But you were prepared. You had been preparing for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
The body of armor. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, literally. Yeah. So, okay, so let's talk now about your bodybuilding career. When did that take off? Like, there was probably some point where you were sort of, working out and trying to build that up, but at some point it became something more serious. Tell us about that career. Mm-hmm.
Well, it was the time when I was 16 that I started seeing more of myself being a bodybuilder. Before, I was just getting in shape, getting, hard and biceps and so on, and getting some sort of but when I got into 16 to 18, I started seeing my V shape coming up, right?
That's like the back.
The diet is very important. Yeah, the right? Back. Yeah, that's right. So I at that point, I decided to compete. 1969 was the year that first competition that I did for Mr. Ontario. They were a lot of people there. The first time I've been in the audience, right, in front of the audience, and with my shorts, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So and all the things in preparation that you have to do for bodybuilding. It's you know, it's another program, I can tell you, and another
Yes.
program. But for preparation, you had to do to become a bodybuilder now competitor. You have to watch your diet for 6 months prior. You have to really watch your diet, 100% low carbs, lots of protein. In those days, were protein, and have smaller meals through the day. So your diet was 60, 70%. So you got to 6 months before you're in that training. Okay, training 3-4 times. Actually, I was training about 5 to 6 times before competition, and you're ready to go. Psychologically, you have to also be ready. No, mental and physical go together. But I always I was really in control of my dieting, my eating habits. It was you know, born in an Italian family with lots of different variety of foods. Yeah, pasta. You can't really be on a bodybuilding diet. But let me tell you one thing that is very, very, very key to reach to that point. That's control. You gotta have control. You gotta see over here the goal. Here is control.
Yes.
You know, in between here, you gotta have that full control, or else you're not gonna get there.
Yeah.
So that's what made me do that. And of course, it paid off. It paid off because I came third in the Mr. Ontario, my first show.
That's
it was
incredible.
like 12 competitive. Yeah, third place. Yeah. And then from there on, I got excited and I wanted to do more and more and more, right? And that's how I started. One multiplies the other until I wanted to have my own gym, and which that's another thing that we can talk about. But
very cool.
And then you know, bodybuilding in those days didn't bring you money, so I had to work, and I was working and being bodybuilding. So I wasn't really a professional bodybuilding. With they work out, they eat, and they compete. They work out, they eat, and compete, and then they, you know. But I reached to the point where I only can go naturally. I didn't want to go and take any special stuff that they can make to enhance your muscles. I never had to take one in my life. It's all natural.
That's awesome.
And in natural in this world of bodybuilding, there's no one.
Yeah.
Even Arnold Schwarzenegger, I can admit it, if he listens to me right now. Okay. I sent him I sent him a link. I think I sent him a link. Yes, I sent him a link, and I don't know if he's on or not. But I
you sent him a link for tonight's show. You're saying that is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
I wanna let them know that I really love and admire him for what he has accomplished. The only person that's accomplished so much in bodybuilding for everything, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, so, for sure. He changed the game, right?
I
want to bring up, and you know, I really respect and love all experiences, and so I think, you know, the fact that you got to work out and know you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's really cool, really cool. For the people who get who want to see the Italian connection, I'm curious, did you also work out with Lou Ferrigno? And my husband gave me the name Franco Colombo.
Yeah, he's got it right. Mr. China, you have that right. Franco was in the gym. Was in the gym with Lou Ferrigno as well. Actually, Lou Ferrigno, I brought him to Toronto 3 times for a bodybuilding competition for being a host. Arnold came once in 1984. I brought Arnold, but Franco was a real Italian from Sardinia, He was a very strong man person. For a little guy, he was only 5 foot.
Yeah, what worked side by side, him and Arnold were like.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
yeah, right.
Like, you know, yeah. So, and he was a great man. He taught me how to bend spikes. I used to do for the CNE shows. In the later days, I used to show off by bending spikes and bending.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Bending spikes.
Yeah, you know this nails that this long.
Yeah. Oh, you literally would bend them.
I literally with my hand. Yeah. My kids can witness of that, and I still have some of those spikes somewhere left in there. So there is a technique how to do it, and he was the one who taught me how to do it. You know, and then blowing a hot water bottle. I have a picture I could have shown you where you blow this hot water bottle.
Oh yeah, those
the
thick
old
plastic
hot water,
ones.
right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the plastic ones. You got to make sure it's an old one, because if it's a new one, you can't expand. But you blow with your lungs, and there's a technique. And that technique, you have to know it, or else you can blow your lungs.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful. It's I don't suggest that to do anybody unless you know what you're doing. Call me, and I can teach you how to do it. So anyway, I blow it up so much. I remember this day. I was asked to do a demonstration for a bunch of youth in a church. And I remember this day I did the showman, the strongman stuff, and this big balloon, this thing came up like so big that exploded. And when it exploded, it took me 3 feet back.
Oh no!
I left. It was so funny. The people come to the stage. What's wrong? Are you okay, Louis? Are you okay? No. So anyway, that was one of the things that Franco was good about. And he was a good bodybuilder and a good person as well. And unfortunately, we missed him because he passed away 2 years ago.
Wow, so, recently. I want to thank Mike for asking the question. I have an issue with monitors today, so I didn't see the question come in, but he did actually ask that live. So I hope you got a kick out of that answer, Mike. And then we also have another Michael, but this one's from the Muya tribe. Luigi's a gladiator. Oh, is it your son? That is so cool. Hi, Michael. Your father's entertaining me tonight. I love it. Anyone else, please, if you have questions, comments, we love to see them, share them, and bring your questions to the conversation. Okay, is there a moment in your bodybuilding career, because there's other things that I want to talk about with you, but is there a moment in your bodybuilding career that you need to share, like it was maybe the highlight for you or it taught you something really special? I just want to make sure we don't miss something that was really important about that, because it was such an interesting journey.
Bodybuilding taught me to have the initiative to do things in life other than bodybuilding. It teaches you to be obedient to your own body. It teaches you how your body works and the inner side of your body, to really listen to that inner side. Okay, it teaches you how to set goals. One time I wanted to reach a point where I can bench press 350 pounds. Well, what I did, and I remember that, I can still remember, in my bedroom, in my mirror, I put a sign that says, I want to reach 350 pounds. And every morning I read that. So if it isn't the bench press, if it's something else in life that you want to do, and you keep going and going and going and visualize it, it's visualization. Visualize something, visualize your goal. You are able to reach to that point. 1 week later, no, it was 2 weeks later, I reached 350 pounds bench press. Wow. Of course, to do that, that was within that time or so. But that wasn't, that's not the only thing you got to do. You got to start over here with a visualization. Then you got things that you need to finish, tasks that you need to do to reach your actual goal. And that's what you need to do. So that's what taught me from bodybuilding to do other things in life. And I'm really thankful for having the opportunity of coming to this country and able to see what is and what I can do for my own self and self-esteem. And I learned from a lot of people. I learned from bodybuilding champions, such as Arnold, such as Muia, and such as other bodybuilders that came after him. And because of that, that's your support team, the support team to bring you up to what you want to be. So
I appreciate all of that very, very much. I think that is actually the journey I'm on right now. Is the internal discipline. In my high school years, I discovered, well, I didn't really fit in. I was a very, very quiet kid, and go figure that I was such a quiet kid, and I had so much anxiety, and I didn't have friends, and I really needed to learn how to interact with people. When I was in grade 5 or 6, I remember the teacher brought in this big, tall plastic box, and she put it around my desk because I have ADHD, but in those days they didn't know that. They just knew that I was a bad kid. And I had to learn so much about the outside world. I learned a lot about people, relationships, how people interact. And then I started learning in an academic way. And I actually had a lesson today that I think might change my life. I have learned to do a lot of things. I'm very committed to proving to myself that I can do anything I set my mind to. But I have learned to do it often at the expense of my own health, my whatever, time with my family, friends, like so many things I've sacrificed. And today I was challenged to find a way now. I've achieved goals that were beyond my reach, but now can I achieve my goals without killing myself in the process? And it occurs to me, having heard that today, and then hearing you talk about that internal discipline. My discipline was always focused outwards. It was trying to find my place. And I don't think I ever got to build that internal discipline. I'm not sure I have it. I get up and work because I'm excited to, not because it's time to get up. If I don't have something I'm excited to do that day, I can sleep all day. It's like in some ways I'm still a child. It's just it's a whole other level of personal growth. So I feel like selfishly, this is a really interesting day to have this conversation. Yeah, I don't know if you would add.
Again, like you said it, right? Sometimes we don't see it ourselves to start to do something until maybe you meet certain people that inspires you to do that. And you gotta have a trust and have faith that will, that will work to get you going. But there's one thing that Arnold's always taught me, and we were sitting doing some thigh extensions. That's for working the thighs, right?
Okay.
And he said, and you push yourself, and you push yourself, then you stop. But then he said, there's no gain without pain.
Yes.
Pain, no gain. You got to go beyond that barrier of the pain in order for you to get the extra inch or the extra burn into your muscles. So that stuck in my mind. And you have to sacrifice for something in order for you to get if you really want it.
Yeah.
So that's relates to in life for all the things that we can sacrifice that eventually they come through. So.
We've got another question here. Who was your go-to workout partner, and how did they push you to get better?
My partner was a guy named Paul, and Paul was I met him in the gym when I was back in the 70s, and we got along together. He was from a Greek family. He spoke 4 languages. Father was Italian, half Greek. Mother was full Greek. They came from Greece, and they were very smart people. They spoke French, Greek, English, and so on. And he helped me, and I helped him. He inspired me. So it's like a two-way street here. You know, it's a combination.
Yes.
We worked out together. We ate together. We've been in competition together. The only problem is that every time we went competition together, he beat me. He always came first, and I came second.
Yeah, that's all right.
Because he had a unique body.
It's good. It's good to be pushed, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So he had a unique body. But you know, that's how we did it. We did it as a partnership. Yes. And I think I suggest that if you want to really have some results, you got to have some sort of a partner to work out with.
In the corporate, in the corporate world today, we have a formal name for that. It's called an accountability partner. And it, you know, all of our innovations come from, like all of our formal innovations come from somebody saying, oh, what do you mean? It just makes sense. You know, like this was my experience and it worked better for me. So, you know, it just makes a lot of sense to me that that was your experience, that you found a like-minded person who challenged you. And that it was, even when he beat you, like mutual respect. That's incredible. I love it. So let's talk about those planes overhead as you were on the farm in Italy. You looked up, and what did you say to yourself?
Well, I said, maybe one day I'll become a pilot. And I enjoyed it, watching them, and the actual the theory of the flight, how an airplane stays in the air. That got interested in me. And as I grew up into the bodybuilding and opened up my own gym, I had 4 gyms.
Oh wow!
I'm going to go back to bodybuilding. Yeah, I'm going to go back to bodybuilding because that ties in with what I wanted to do in flying. I owned my first club was 1980, and that was 1979, and I had the clubs for several years. And I built up to 4 health clubs. I've actually called them Gold's Gym because the first time that I worked out with Arnold and saw Arnold was in 1972. 1972, I did not speak with him until the later part of the 80s. Okay, because then I came to Toronto. I got married, still having children, and so I did many things in life as far as businesses are concerned. Like I said, you try something, doesn't work, you know, you try something else. Anyway, while I was in bodybuilding and had the gyms, we got married, and we were in a position where I was able to take the other dream that I had, which was flying. So I inquired on how to get my pilot's license. So this was back in 1975. We had been married for 1 year. And I told my wife that I want to be a pilot. This is another goal that I want to reach. I said, well, I'll support you. So
she sounds great.
She didn't say, yeah, she says no, and you know.
You married the right woman.
No. Yeah. Yeah, at that time, yes. But anyway, so I began to inquire, and I went to Buttonville Airport, and I signed myself up to a private pilot course.
And for people that are not Canadian, can you tell us where's Buttonville Airport?
Buttonville Airport is in Markham. It's by Highway 7 and Woodbine. And it's the airport that still exists today. They're trying to shut it down, but there's some issues with the environmental land over there. So nothing's happening yet.
So Markham, Ontario. Okay, sorry, keep
Markham,
going.
Ontario. That's right.
Yeah.
Buttonville is one of the municipal airports. It used to be one of the second largest in flights, other than Pearson being the first one. It was the second one, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I became 9 months later, after I taken courses, I became a pilot. My first flight by myself. Now, I want to tell everybody, don't do what I did. But no, I'm just kidding. The instructor took me up on my 10th hour. I had 10 hours only with the instructor. A small little airplane. This is a 2-seater trainer. It's only a 2-seater.
Wow.
As big as you know, maybe a 3x3, a 4x4 type of cockpit. And he will come down landing, and I land the airplane. Him on the right seat, I'm on the left seat, and he says, "Where are you taking me?" He said, "We're going to the hangar." Okay. He gets out and he said to me, "Go up and do another circuit." I said, "Me? Myself?" "Yes. You're very good in controlling the airplane." So I did that. My first solo was within 10 hours. And I remember that, 1975, the end of 1975. And after that, you gain confidence. Again, we're talking about confidence. We're talking about being positive, being encouraged, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
That
mental toughness, right? Resilience.
That's right. Mental toughness. And from there on, I got my rating, my 40 hours, because your minimum is 40 hours to get your pilot license. I did it in 55 hours. Average is about 55 to 60 hours. And got my pilot's license. I continue on, and I got my multi-engine rating, which means that you can fly now with 2 airplanes instead of 1. So I was flying the bigger ones. Then I went on.
Sorry, you said 2 airplanes, but you mean 2 engines?
2 engines. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure I understood. Airplanes. Yeah.
Multi-engine is more than 1 engine, obviously.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
And I was able to fly those, and then I did some other endorsements as you go on and on. But I was going to be a commercial pilot to work for an airline. That was my goal. But that's when my wife put the foot down. No, because it's no family life. Exactly the word she said. This is not your family life. You know, we have 2 kids already. Well, 1 and 1 on the way. Andrea and Mark. And then she said no, so I had to stop, and I continue on, and it did. And the being a pilot became my hobby instead of being a profession. I did some commercial stuff anyway on the side by taking people up to the U.S. I went to the U.S. a lot, Canada, stuff like that, but nothing really big. So, and I'm still a pilot.
Yes. I see you're wearing your wings, right?
Oh yeah, I always wear the wings. Anyway, it's a conversation opener. For
sure. Yeah. That is awesome. And you still, do you have I think you mentioned that you have a plane. Either you have a plane or maybe you have access to a plane. Do you still fly on a regular basis?
Yes, this is my second ownership of an airplane. First one I think it was 1976, 77, but I had owned an airplane at that time with another partner. Now I'm with 3 partners, and we have an airplane at the Billy Bishop Airport, the island airport.
Yes, in Toronto. That's right.
We only use it for our own purposes. I use it for business. Like I went to Barrie for own business. I go to Montreal. I go to different places, and I still fly. As long as you have a medical that keeps it up, your health.
Yes.
And you have good vision, you're healthy. You can fly the airplane. So.
Okay, so anyway, one quick question about that. If one of your children said to you, "I want to become a pilot," what would you say? Do you think he'd be supportive? Do you think you'd?
Actually,
Worry?
Michael, who sits, he's the, I think he's the more, not more dairy, in other words, another
Daring,
more,
yes.
yeah, daring
Mhm.
to be a pilot. I always bring him up.
Mhm.
He learns from his computer how to be a pilot from the program. Then he comes
Yeah.
with me and he says, "Dad, can you let me land the airplane at least? Can you let me take off?"
Yeah.
You know, I'm very, yeah,
That's
I'm very
scary.
scared. But you know what? He's
Mhm.
very well. He does a very good job.
That's
I let
awesome.
him land, but I'm still holding my hand on the column, you know, just ready
Yes.
to grab it. You know what I'm saying? A little
Sure.
anxious, but he's really good because he has a sense. He has a good sense, like I have a good sense in
Yeah.
my that they and it's, but landing an airplane and taking off an airplane, it's a judgment call. You know,
Yeah.
controlling your speed, controlling
Mhm.
your attitude, and all that stuff, right?
Yeah,
So
and I imagine even though there are a bunch of technical things you're looking for, a lot of it is feel, and that comes from
yeah,
experience. Is that fair, or am I making a wrong assumption?
yeah, it's a feeling. That's right.
Yeah.
And feeling and control, and
Hmm.
knowing that you know, am I gonna, you know, is this the right height to land, or am I too high?
Yes.
Nowadays, in the old days, was like really different. We didn't have
Hmm.
GPS or all this particular flight informations, computer stuff that you have in the airplane.
Yes.
Everything was like the World War II airplanes, right?
Wow.
Completely different. So,
Yeah, it's crazy.
uh, but
Um,
my kids love my son Mark was 7 years old when he first took over the airplane when he was flying. 7 years
oh
old.
wow.
No,
Yeah.
I was in there in the cockpit, but
Yeah,
he
of
was
course, of course.
controlling
Yeah.
everything, right?
But just they were clearly proud of dad. They
Yeah.
wanted to, like, you're literally, your son said today Luigi's a gladiator. Like, that's pretty cool. Not, kids can't say
Yeah.
that kind of thing about their parents all the time. They can say, great parent, loved me so much, but he's a gladiator. That's something to be proud of. That's pretty different.
Mm. Yeah,
So
well, they see me as a gladiator.
yeah, I bet they do. Okay, so we're coming up on about an hour now, and I recognize that people have lots of things to do and stuff, but I still want to talk about one topic. And speaking of thinking outside the box, and it's so weird to even talk about it like this, but I'm assuming, and again, I could be wrong, but I think that in your time when you got married, it wasn't very common to marry outside your culture. And you did.
Yes.
And you married somebody because she was the right one for you, as opposed to because she was the right type. Can you tell me a little
Mhm.
bit about that experience? Like, did you
Well,
ever doubt, or did it always just feel right? And what was the experience externally? Did people support you?
the thing is that we've been brought up to marry people to our own culture, because it would be very because she will know or he will know more about the cultures and you can stay together, you know.
Yes.
But that doesn't work in these
Yeah.
days. Doesn't work.
Hmm.
I wanted to come out of that comfort zone of being, if you say all that, whatever you call it.
Yeah. The comfort
Um,
zone. I get it for
and,
sure.
yeah, yeah, to explore, okay,
Hmm.
the possibilities of other culture and other nationalities and so on. And I was at that time when I was involved with bodybuilding and gyms and all that stuff. I was always with the Canadian people. I was always with English people. I had lost my thinking of the Italian thinking that it came from when I was from where I come from, and I got involved. I got I got involved with the Canadian style of people, the English
Hmm.
style,
Hmm.
and one thing led to another. I bypassed the actual tradition of marrying, or being set up to be married.
Yeah.
Being match made.
Yeah,
My brother did. My brother got match made.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Rocco, that was a good thing. Your wife is a great wife.
Whoever picked right for you, so that's good. You got lucky.
Yeah.
Because you never know, right? So that's awesome.
No. So anyway, that's I fell in love with her at that time, and so we started our family, and things went well. But again, there's ups and downs all the time. But that's another subject to talk about, is marriage.
Yeah, marriage is the ultimate partnership, right? Like there's no talk about discomfort, right? Like we actually are attracted to people who push us to be uncomfortable, and they help us grow. And it's good and bad, but it's ultimately a discomfort we choose. It's an interesting thing, and maybe we'll have a show about that one day. Go ahead.
But I want to just say, I want to just say something that it's very, very important. Families are forever. We build families. I enjoy my kids. We have 3 kids that are very lovely, and they they communicate to each other and so on. But I the first wife, we got divorced. You know about that part. But Linda is my new wife, and Linda's been with me for 25 years, and she's listening. I don't know if she's listening or not.
Hi, Linda.
She's a flower woman. She's like a flower, you know what I mean? But she's very helpful. She became the mother of my kids after.
It's beautiful.
She left, and so we put 2 families together, and that's how we multiply. And I really love this family we put together, me and her. So anyway.
Yeah, I once ran a corporate training session on. Well, it doesn't matter what the topic was, but we went around the room and introduced ourselves with like one fun, like instead of a fun fact about you, it was share one goal with the group that you're really proud of. And this one woman shared, and I just never would have expected it. And anyway, she shared that her greatest goal in life was successfully merging 2 families, like her family that she had and developed before she met the love of her life, and his family, and that they were all happy. And I won't pretend to know anything about that. That wasn't my experience, but I imagine that must have very unique challenges. So I think it takes special people to navigate that, to love each other enough to navigate that. So it sounds like another goal to be proud of for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
sorry, was there something else you were going to say there? Not necessarily.
No, not really. I was just going to say that I'm thankful for all those the opportunities that I had and the talent that I have to be able to share with others, and able to share with my family first and outmost, and able to enjoy my family, enjoy my grandkids, and so on. It's my time now to stand back and watch them, and I see each one of them individually in goal settings, and especially my daughter Andrea, that she's a personal trainer, and she took after me. The only one out of the 5, really. Actually, Mark and Michael, they're still working out. Frank works out a little bit here and there. Stephanie, yes, Stephanie is a very, very intelligent. I mean, we can go on with my kids, but what I wanted to point out is that my families are very important. Families gives you that strive, gives you that drive, gives you that extra push. Even the little 3-year-old gives an extra push for you when you talk to her, or when you talk to a 11, or when you work out with your grandson who's 12 years old, and we're in the gym together. working out. He inspires me. It's not that I inspire him. He inspires me, and that's very important. And that's what I look forward to.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be reached 70 years old this year, and
7 years. I love it.
Nobody's going to stop.
Yes.
Nobody's going to stop me, because I'll continue on until the good Lord says it's time to go. But as long as you play your cards right, as long as you have that inner feeling of knowing your body, and do everything as possible for you to be healthy, because your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, they say. It means also spirituality and mentality built into that to those ingredients. So anyway.
I love it. Even at the very end, when you're like, oh, anyway, we're still talking about something powerful. Everything packs a punch. So I really, really love it. I hope that people have been touched by this conversation. I think everyone's got different goals, and it's interesting because you and I have very different goals. Like, I would never want to fly. You know what I mean? I'm not good at working out. I've learned, I'm 40 years old, and I accept I will never love working out. Turn on some music, I'll dance. I'll dance for an hour and a half. I'll break a sweat. I will feel the muscle pain tomorrow. But I'm not the type of person to do the things that you've done. And yet the way that you've done them, and the lessons that you've learned, and the tools and philosophies that helped you be successful speak to me. So I hope that some of our viewers have had that experience tonight. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Luigi, for joining us tonight and giving us your time and sharing yourself so openly. It means a lot to me.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and thank you for asking those questions and make me open up, because eventually my book will come out with those things that we talked about, and I hope that people can look at that, and I'm preparing to write that. I've been trying for like 8 years, but it's getting there. So slowly, it's just about those things that help me to achieve what I wanted to achieve, the dream that will come true, right? And I thank you for your great work. I think this is a great program, and I really endorse it to anyone to jump in and able to like it and so on, and so that we can learn from each other. I learned from you tonight several things that I never knew before. You know what I mean? And I do. You're a very special person.
Thank you.
We do have a little bit of a blood tied in, but that's great to know that. I think those people that are listening tonight, and if you have any questions, just send them out to you, and I'd be glad to help them out.
Yeah, for sure. And so can people find you online? Are you on social media, or do you have a website or anything like that, Luigi, that you could share?
Yeah. I have my own website. It's luigimuia.com. That will be, it's in the progress right now, but you can still see me in there. There are a few things that I'm preparing to put in there. So it's a continuous work. You can have to Google my last name.
Yeah, I just put the URL on the screen. So Luigi Muia, LuigiMuia.com.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Good.
Yeah. So but you can Google my name anywhere in Google, and then they'll find something about myself. Okay.
That's very cool.
So that's it.
That's perfect. That's awesome. Okay, one last question. Is it Muia or Muya?
It's Muya.
Muya.
Muya. There's an accent on top of the A.
Yes.
That's the real name of the Muya.
Muya.
But because we're in and because we're here in the English country, we take the
accent
out.
Yes.
Yeah. So
all right.
That's what it is.
Well, next time I see you, I'm going to try and say it properly. Luigi Muia.
Luigi Muia.
Yeah, I like it. All right.
Yeah.
So, folks, I'm going to just wrap up and say thank you so much for your time, for your attention tonight. You can find me anywhere online by searching my name, and I maybe will just take down the comment so that, well, I don't have my full name up there. That's not smart. But you can find me by searching JT China. That is JTCINA.com is my website, and you can find me on social. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, JTCINA. I love talking about people's life stories and learning lessons from each other. And this whole show, the Smart Self live stream, it came about because after being in lockdown for so long, I was really missing these smart conversations that I would just have naturally because of the interaction that I would have with people. And the more I have these conversations, the more I realize how important they are to me. So I want to make a special call out tonight. If you know anybody, if you have a special story, or if you know anybody who has a special story, something that needs to be shared, especially those stories that have not been given a lot of spotlight, but are inspiring and worthy, please connect with me, and let's see what we might be able to do. This is about focusing on what connects us in a world that is often focused on what divides us, and learning from each other. And I know that I learned a lot from Luigi tonight, and I'm just really grateful for Luigi and for everyone who gave us their time. Your time is precious, and I hope tonight, this show helped you get closer to your smart self, which is the ultimate goal, being your best self. So what do you say, Luigi? Do we wish everyone a good night and go and celebrate?
Yes, let's do that. Well, I know what you're celebrating with. Some glass of wine, right?
I actually had Baileys, but I'll probably have some wine. I got
water.
Later. You're a good man. You're a better man. You're a better man than me, I was going to say, but you're a better person than me, because I like my, I grew up drinking the wine. My nono would bring me into the cantina, the cold cellar, and we would fill up the bottle, and we would fill up a tall glass, and he would take a sip, and then he would go, ah, and then he'd give it to me, and I would take a little sip, and I'd go, ah, and we would do that until the glass was done, and then at the very end he would go, It was a very special ritual that we had, and so I love to share a good drink, but also respect those that don't. So I will be having a glass of wine next, and whatever you have next, I hope you enjoy it with family and friends, and just have a great rest of the night.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, to everyone who joined us tonight, thank you so much. Hope to hear from you. Don't be shy. Please don't be shy. Hit me up with your ideas, with your love, with your comments, with your hate, whatever. And just happy Friday from Smart Self live stream with Juliana Tricolacina and our guest tonight, Luigi Muia. We wish you a great night. Bye-bye to all. Thank you.
Good night.
Ciao.